Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Dada Show, coming to you straight from the Boma Hotel. I'm your host, Ashiko Mbune. The Dada Show is an equality and inclusion program that focuses on issues that are close to women's heart, the impact and implications in regards to the 2022 general elections. Now, it is argued that most women in Kenya are yet to qualify for political office, and that they are not aggressive enough to withstand the complexities that come with the political office. What most of us fail to acknowledge is that these women had careers and had a livelihood prior to the ballot box. They were industry experts and they dominated industries. And for all intents and purposes, they were professionals par excellence. Leadership is the calling to bring your best self in service for others. And this is what these formidable women heeded. So today we want to get to know them professionally and find out and understand why they put all of that aside in pursuit for the service of the Kenyan people. But before that, let's find out how much you really know about your female politician. Let's have a look.
Since time immemorial, women have had to fight their way to get into power, majority forfeiting their careers to go make a difference in the political arena. The likes of TV Ashiko, currently the chair caucus for women leadership, is one of the renowned Kenyan political pioneers and outspoken advocates in the fight for women's rights. She was nominated to parliament in 1992 after her involvement in Kenya's campaign for multi-party democracy. The late Grace Kamau, one of East Africa's best-known authors, also became an important political figure in modern Kenya and earned a distinctive position in Kenya's literary and political history. The 2004 Nobel Peace Laureate, the late Professor Wangari Maathai, was the founder of the Greenbelt movement, a women-driven grassroots reforestation and sustainable development movement that has planted more than 40 million trees. She was elected as Member of Parliament for Tetu constituency in 2002 and later on served as the Assistant Minister for Environment and Natural Resources. Wangari Maathai was the first Kenyan woman to earn a PhD. She taught and chaired a department at the University of Nairobi. She played a pivotal role in Kenya's politics and has without doubt been a role model and mentor for many Kenyan women aspiring for leadership. Charity Kalokingilu started off professionally as a secretary in Central Bank of Kenya before venturing into business. Her journey in politics began during the multi-party general elections of 1992. She pulled off a big surprise by capturing the Kitui Central constituency seat on the Democratic Party ticket. Later in the 1997 elections, she pulled an even bigger surprise by running for the presidency, where along with Wangari Maathai, they became the first ever female presidential candidates in Kenya.
Kenyans want to see new leadership in place, and that is why they are giving me this support.
Martha Wangari Karua worked as a magistrate between 1981 and 1987 and was in charge of Makadara law courts from 1984 to 1985 and Kibera law courts from 1986 to 1987 when she left to start her own law firm. It was then in 1992 that she ventured into politics and was first elected as a Member of Parliament for Gishugu constituency in the 1992 multi-party general election with the Democratic ticket. Karua won the general election to become the Member of Parliament for Gishugu constituency and the first woman lawyer to be popularly elected to Parliament. In 2013, she gave her best shot at the presidential candidature under NARC Kenya Party. Many are the reasons as to why women in their respective successful careers quit their jobs and venture into politics.
For the first time in the history of our republic, and on the 7th multi-party election, history is calling us to close the gender gap in our country. I have the great honor to announce that I have picked as my running mate and Cabinet Secretary for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, the Honorable Martha Wangari Karua.
A number of Kenyans were forthcoming in sharing their diverse thoughts on the subject.
I like the idea of women venturing into politics because we never really had a say back then. But then the problem comes in is, are they actually being heard and listened to once they get in? Are they being taken seriously? Now that's the issue, because a lot of people, when we had the whole women rep thing, a lot of people, even women themselves, are very quick to be like, it's a very unnecessary post. So also, like, is there support from outside the system from even women ourselves to support other women in politics? Because you find the men will quickly say, if it was a president, there was a time Mother Karua stood for president, how many women would have actually said, yeah, no, there aren't any women. So I also think it starts also from support system. So for women outside of politics, do we even take ourselves seriously? So yeah.
My opinion about that move is, I think one, it has to be calculated. So if you're venturing into politics, you basically have developed your career, and if you're going to venture into politics, you probably had a plan. And one of it probably is you want to have an impact on the society or on the community. So for me, it's a good move if you want to create an impact to the community, a positive impact, that is.
With matters concerning pursuing something that you have a passion for, the way I see it, it doesn't matter what gender you're in, it doesn't matter what gender you're from, pursue what you're good at, pursue what you have a passion for, and it doesn't matter which field. Pursue what you're good at, pursue what you feel is something that's going to be rewarding, especially within you, regardless of gender. So yes, it feels more individual if you ask me. It feels more individual, but with matters concerning gender, it's all a choice. You know, even getting into corrupt deals, it's all a matter of choice. Even raising prices are raised by choice. These are not things that just happen magically. So with matters concerning gender, if you ask me, there should be a balance between male and female in just about every department, so that there can be balance in everywhere in the world. There has to be a balance with both genders. It doesn't matter what gender dominates or what gender doesn't dominate. What matters is, can the job be done at the end of the day?
Welcome back. Today I'm joined by a group of brave and inspiring women. Thank you for joining me. On my left I have Madam Vivienne Taa. She was aspiring Langata MP, yeah? And next to her we have Grace Kamau for Kahawa Ward. Yes. And finally we have Miss Emily Kamunde. She's a leadership coach, HR professional, and she's passionate about creating value for others by multiplying their impact in society. Karibu sana, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I am so happy to have you here. Thank you for making time to sit on the Dada's Show panel. So I would like to also acknowledge my fantastic audience. I am honored that each and every one of you could take time off your busy schedule to sit with me today here. So I'll start off with you, Madam Vivienne. You were the Langata MP aspirant.
Yes.
What was your line of work prior to this, and what was your inspiration behind running for office?
Okay. I'm a marketing and communication specialist, but I also run a fashion business. I'm one of the leading fashion designers in Kenya. It's a business I started after transitioning from Kenya Airways, where I was working in the marketing department. And that's basically my background. But after, from fashion, I got into the leadership space. And I'm also a governance analyst because of my involvement in politics and in leadership. So I have there's a lot of diversity, like when it comes to me. But you see, one person doesn't have like just one line, you know, or one talent that they do. So I'm pretty good at, let's say, everything that I do. You know, in marketing, I'm very passionate about communication, about marketing. It's something that I have worked in and built my career over quite a period of time. But I'm also very, very passionate about fashion. I'm a creative. I think in a creative sense. and my work shows it. And I'm also very passionate about politics and governance, because from where I sit, I believe people, especially people in the middle class, they need representatives or leaders that they can connect with, engage with, and relate to. And it needs to be, people like us. I always say this, right now our National Assembly, Parliament collectively, if you include Senate, is like 97% men, very few women still. That doesn't mean there are not women who can lead. It's just that there are a lot of barriers in political leadership. So me running for office is something that I'm convicted about. I believe that an ordinary person with an ordinary life, you could be a teacher, a farmer, a musician, a footballer, whatever it is you choose in life to do. But then you can also take the bold step and say, hey, I can represent people. Because essentially the people we elect into office are our representatives. They're supposed to be understanding what we go through and representative of our values and aspirations. So they carry our hopes and aspirations. So people shouldn't take lightly, the people that they elect into office. But that's just a brief into my background and what I've been doing. And yeah, I'm happy to dig a little bit more into it.
Fantastic. So moving on to you, Grace, you were and you still are a human rights activist. Could it be, was your inspiration behind vying for political office maybe based off the fact that you witnessed injustices? What has your journey been like?
Thank you, Ashiko. First of all, people don't like using the word activist. It sounds radical. So when we get to introduce ourselves, we'll be like, I am a human rights defender. It sounds a little bit balancing. And I've been on this journey. It's been tough. It's not easy. Yeah. And initially, it started as I always being involved in the community barazas. Well, I want to be involved. What is the chief saying today? And I'll stand up, I'll differ with the chief and be like, Pana chief, hatutafanya hivi, unatu affect. And the chief will be like, who are you? What are you doing here? I didn't know what was that initially. And the community, at some point my age must rebel, they labeled me as a rebel. I'm like, no, we need to get to do things right. Because if we don't do them right, sisi tutakuwa affected. We keep saying we are the future. And if the future inakuwa affected, say we won't have any future. So that's how it started. And I started getting involved with young girls. And most of the informal settlements, the people who happen to be affected a lot by the injustices that happen are the women and the young girls and the children. And I was like, we need to start fighting for ourselves. We need to find ourselves a defense team. We need to come up with our own strategy. And that's when we created a small hub called Soweto Young Women Initiative Network, where we'll go there and talk politics, economic stability. We'll just brainstorm different ideas. And I have worked with different NGOs, Haki Africa, Wango Kancha Foundation. So I felt like it was high time for me to put these skills and experience to other people. And I think that's how I came to the whole leadership thing. I was like, if we can do this, just from the little that we have learned in this field of activism, what if we took it in a larger area of the politics? And maybe we'll change the political dynamics of this country. That's how it all got back. So that's the background of where I have come from and where I am heading. And that's why I decided I am going to run for office. Kahawa Ward MCA.
Fantastic. And we wish you all the luck in the world. And that's very inspiring stuff. Taking from what they have talked about, Emily, as a HR professional and a leadership coach, do you feel like the female politicians, or rather the career women in politics, get the same, accorded the same amount of respect as their male counterparts?
Well, I think that's a great question, and given that I'm not in that space, today I'll be a student of politics from the two. Yeah, but I think from my perspective, the issue of acknowledgement and respect has got to come from the women themselves, because by the time you're going into politics, it's just like changing any other career. There's got to be the value proposition that you're offering to the people. There's also got to be what is it that you're offering as an individual. What value are you going to be adding to society? And you heard them talk about their careers as well. There's what they've been preparing and building over the years, right? From different professions, be it marketing, there's human rights, and there's many others. So I do think that respect in itself, first of all, has got to come from what they have created for themselves. And I think a lot of them do that. I think it's a matter of how are you able to articulate that so that then you can actually earn the respect of the people that you want to vote for you. It's also got to be a sense of, are you able to articulate your message in the way that the people can really appreciate that, okay, we believe in this particular individual, we believe in what she is saying, she actually seems to know what she's talking about. So I think that comes from the inner part. I mean, it has got to really come from the individual. And I do think that they've worked pretty hard. By the time somebody is putting their hand up for elective position, I think they've done a lot of work, and it takes a lot of courage, isn't it, to be able to get there. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it surely does, ladies. By the way, I believe it takes a lot of, and I will continuously keep on commending you for the courage to step, to step away from what you have learned and what you are doing to get into a new field. That takes a lot of bravery. Now, Vivienne, being a creative, you're a creative, you're a designer, you're also in communications. Do you feel like people in the creative industry, at this time we're cutting across the spectrum, be it male or female, so we're talking actors, we're talking musicians, any who vie for political office, do you think first they're adequately represented? We've seen an influx nowadays of people who are musicians who are vying for office. Do you feel like prior to this, are they adequately represented? And secondly, do you feel like they are accorded, still on the topic of respect, accorded the respect they deserve as compared to somebody who used to be maybe formerly a doctor?
I think people in the creative space generally still do not get the level of, okay, in the view of the general public, they still don't have they don't appear as credible as someone who's maybe a doctor or a teacher or an engineer or a lawyer, especially because those are the main professions that I see appear credible in the political space. And maybe it's because of just the culture we are coming from. When I was growing up, those were the main professions that, we'd be told even by our parents to pursue, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be an engineer. And so I think it goes without saying that society kind of gives them, an upper hand in terms of credibility. But it doesn't mean that people in the creative space do not have room to maneuver or grow or be successful in the political and in the leadership space. You asked about whether they are represented enough. It's not very easy to answer that because I don't think people in the creative space have like a critical mass yet of the general population. I'd say people in white collar jobs are maybe more still, if you look at just the general population of Kenya. So I think it'll change slowly, but we shouldn't look at it as just people from the creative space. It's good that we are seeing more and more people who are creatives and people in sports and entertainment, wanting to get into the leadership space and taking advantage of, the brands they've built over time. It's a lot of work, building a business, building a brand, it's not easy. So when you see people in entertainment or in sports or in the creative industry stepping up, it takes a lot out from the brand you've built and your business to get into politics, which is a different arena, and can actually end up affecting this other brand that you've been working at building. So of course, being a creative, I would encourage more young people, if you're in sports, if you're in music, if you're in entertainment, if you're in fashion, or just the creative industry, you're a photographer or a graphic designer, that line. If you feel that you can lead and you can represent people well and you can articulate issues well, by all means step up. But also remember to do your background work, because leadership is not just about speaking on behalf of people. You really have to understand what is the Constitution of Kenya, because that's like our Bible. That's like our guideline to how things are run in Kenya. The law determines how everything is done. So before you say, I am going to run for MCA or I'm going to run for MP or senator or governor, you need to understand what is the law and what am I required to do. As an MP, what is my role? Can I do it? Because it's not just about being popular or great. It's actually work. Like for the position I was running for Member of Parliament, your role is actually legislative. That's like your key role. Legislation means making laws. Making laws for what? For the people, to make their lives better. If water is an issue, like now in my area, water is an issue, what are you going to do when you get to the National Assembly? Because it's not about just talking. It's not just about saying, I will sort out water. It's what are you going to do, legally, in a legislative sense, to change things. There's representation. How will you represent the people? A lot of times, wananchi complain. Once we elect a leader, they go missing. We see them 6 months to the election when they are asking for re-election. Yet, ideally, you're supposed to be engaging with the people you represent, because how can you represent someone if you don't talk to them, if you don't know, what they are going through? Yeah. So there are a lot of things to consider. Leadership is not just about, I see nowadays it's really pegged on money, on wealth. And popularity, which is wrong, contest. Because a lot of people come and they come with money which we don't even question where the money has come from. And we take the money and we vote them in and then we complain. And then the cycle goes on. So especially for young people, please get involved. Get involved in scrutinizing who are these people we are electing. What do they stand for? What is their character? What is their profession? What have they done? Because ideally you can't tell what someone will do in the future, but you can gauge someone's character over what they've done, before. So if someone has a shady character before they got into office, don't be surprised when they get into office and they have scandals following them. Yeah. So just be involved, register to vote, participate in, democratic processes so that you get to vet who are these people. We're in the, election season. Today is 9th. We're actually 3 months to the election. So at every level, at MCA, understand what the role of the person, of the office is, and understand what the person is offering. It's not enough for someone to say, I will empower youth. Maybe that's not even their role. How will you empower youth, over 5 years? So let's be open-minded. Let's get involved. It's too late, of course, now to register as a voter if you did not. But if you did register as a voter, please take time to vet the people who are running and just vote in the right people with your conscience, not pesa. Well said, Vivienne. So what you're saying is, take time, get to know people from whatever space their background is. Yes. Be it they were creatives, be it they came from white-collar jobs. So it is important for everybody to get, a streamlined benchmarking. Yes. So speaking of what you're bringing to the table, Grace, with your knowledge and expertise, you've said I don't call it a human activist. Yeah. Call it a human rights defender. Yeah. So what are you bringing? Because the idea is, like you said, you already had an identity and a space prior to seeking the ballot box, going for office. What are you copy-pasting? What are you bringing from your career into your political space?
As Vivienne has said it, it's a matter of getting the people involved. We did fight for the 2010 Constitution, but how many Kenyans even know their rights? How many Kenyans know that Article 43 of the Constitution says that you need to get standard health care, clean water? But in our informal settlements, we don't have standard health care, we don't have clean water. The same Constitution implies that you have the right to hire and fire an elective member because you're the person that ulipanga line saa 9 upati ule mtu kazi ili aweze kukuhudumia. Ilhali tunapata it is always the opposite of what happens. Now this is where our expertise of rights and human rights defenders we bring in. Mostly we do community dialogues. We try our best to involve community. Nini ina happen. Na hii ni through trainings, including even self-care. It is recently that people are now coming out and understanding that people are suffering from mental health care that people didn't even know about. Now it is us, the human rights defenders, who get to sit at the table with the community members and tell them, niaje, kunaenda hivi na hivi. You not being okay is not okay. We need to work on this and work on that. Apart from the whole mental thing, even politically, now this is where we all come in. Hauna maji kwako, kwa nini kwako hakuna maji? The government imetoa resources enough that maji inafaa ifike kwako. Kwa nini hakuna dawa kwa hospitali zetu? Yet every day kwa magazeti tunaona sijui dawa zimeibiwa. Who are stealing these meds? Na ni sisi voters, ni sisi tunafaa question vitu kama hizo. But the reason why the voters don't question because hawana hii knowledge. They don't even know how to go about it. And the funny thing, Kenyans don't even know that unaweza simama asubuhi when you have the evidence that someone akona scandal amechukua vitu vya umma, unaweza mpeleka kotini. But Kenyans don't want to do that. They be like, tampeleka kotini alafu nishinde kotini. What you don't know is that whatever una fight for at that moment, itaokoa wengi in the future. So if we all start by engaging our own voters, say, I like rolling with my age mates, 25, 26, and they're like, nauliza, utavote leo? Zista vote. Lugha ya mtaa ni the same denge, the same people. We keep singing the same song to Kimba, ni the same people, but Grace Kamau akisimama hapa kuambia naomba kura yenu ndivyo niweze tuchange mtaa yetu, zile vitu ninajua we share na zenye sijui mnaniambia, but unaniitisha ruabe yenye sina. They're like, wewe unajua wacha tukule hii pesa ndivyo tusiwe question miaka 5. And we are talking about 25, 26-year-old telling you this. Hadi unamuuliza, are you sure by the time you are 30 na tuko hivi, una expect itakuaje? And they just have a don't care that whatever happens, happens. That is what tunataka kutoa. We want voters to be responsible. Tunataka tuambie, you have this education, yes. Ukienda pale kwa ballot, unajua kwa nini unavotia huyo mtu. Pia venye Vivienne amesema, the background check, we need to do a background check on the people we elect. Because unapataga, we have no idea even the people that we elect, and they are scandalous. Wanakuja tu and they scrutinize us more than we were. So us having community dialogues, having trainings, having a conversation, we'll have more knowledge. We'll actually have a space, a hub of where our voters will be knowledgeable, such that when they are going to the ballot, they'll be doing the right thing. That is what it is about.
Oh, thank you so much, by the way, Grace. That is very inspiring. And I am happy to see that you have found a way to apply the knowledge and the expertise that you have already in your career to your political race, and I believe it is going to bear fruit. Before we close this session, I would like Emily to, tell us, for the woman who's at home right now watching, she's in a particular career, and she wants to vie, maybe perhaps for the next in the next elections, and she wants to vie. What are some of the things that she needs to put in place? What kind of state does she need to be in? Be it financially, be it be it mentally, physiologically, psychologically, even biologically. What is the kind of space she needs to be in if she's looking into switching careers, be it from the corporate or creative or even the self-employed spaces?
Thanks, Ashiko. I think from my perspective, changing careers is, whether it's politics or entrepreneurship or whatever it is, it's a big shift. It's a big decision. So I think the first thing, there has to be somewhere where it pinches. There has to be something that you're dissatisfied with, that you're now looking to fill that gap. Because otherwise just moving for the sake of it doesn't help. So the first thing I think is to identify what is it that I'm missing now that I will find in my next. That's number one. Number two, it's preparation. Educating yourself in the next career move that you desire. If you want to change professions, for example, Vivienne just gave you an example that, if it's politics, you need to be able to be well-versed with the legislation of Kenya, the constitution. What is it that I'm actually going to be contributing, if I'm going into politics, for example? If I'm going into the area of marketing, do I even have that diploma at the very least, right? Is it just a degree I have, or did I, just because I've worked in a business that has allowed me to work in this department, tomorrow I think I can make it in this career. So I think preparation and really being self-aware in terms of your strengths, so that then you're not moving into a job and then you are probably not going to move very far off because you never invested in yourself. So investing in personal growth is so important, and this is something that you do right from the time you start your career, and you don't have to wait for your employer to do that to prepare you. So that's the third piece, I believe. And I think the other one is just really doing your homework. Doing your homework in terms of which space is this I'm going to get myself into. Do I have what it takes? Am I prepared? And the preparation, other than the personal development, there is also the preparation of your family, if you have a family. I think it's important. When you make these decisions, you're not making them as an individual, but they're going to affect your children, they're going to affect your spouse if you have one, or the rest of your entire family. So just getting to check in with them. What do you people think about this? I want to make this change, so that you can also prepare the stakeholders around you in terms of the decision that you're going to make. I think the other aspect that I find that is really, really important is the financial aspect. Now remember, politics, just as I'm an entrepreneur as well. So if you're going, for example, to quit your job and start a business, do you have the resources? And how long can what you have sustain you? And are you willing to actually live with being broke? Because that is the reality, right, that comes with these things. Because once your resources are depleted, and then you really, because starting a new career, you're actually starting at the very bottom and you have to find your way. So the financial muscle is so important, finding where you're going to get those resources. And what do you do when those resources are depleted? Do you have the option of going back to your career? Do you have the option of starting something afresh? And is your mind in a state of actually that agility of saying, you know what, this didn't work out, I can try something else? And I think those are some of the things that also affect the wellness of individuals, especially where you go and maybe it didn't work out as expected, and your mental state is doesn't just support you, and everything else seems to break apart. So I think those are important elements for one to really take care of. And the one thing that I think you carry with you every day is just the courage to know, you know what, I got this, I want to move on with it, and it will always show. When you know your stuff, when you're competent, the courage comes, and you're able to articulate your message, and you're able to move forward with whatever it is that you need.
Thank you, Betty. Those are profound words. I hope somebody at home, whoever is watching, even in the audience, has been able to grasp that. And I feel like those are very, very key pointers that will send us into the break. As we marinate about that, we'll be right back shortly. Welcome back. At this point, I would like to invite questions from my wonderful audience. I believe we will start with the madam right at the front. Remind me your name.
My name is Roslyn.
Yes, Roslyn. Karibu sana, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate even for this opportunity to be here, and even for our wonderful panelists. You've taken us through so well. I think my question will go to both of you, and mine is to really congratulate you for even just taking that bold step, even to step into politics, which most women shy away from. And maybe from Vivienne, as you explaining the many things that you do, I was just wondering, wow, how do you manage even to balance, you know, a designer, this and that, you know? So I think maybe you'll just be telling us how you're able to balance that. And maybe to any of you, both of you, for you to be able just to be successful in this area that is a male-dominated one, you must have maybe a support system of people around you. So who are your support system for you to be able to succeed? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Roslyn. That is a wonderful question. I couldn't have thought of it even myself, by the way. So we'll start off with Vivienne. How do you balance this? And then we can have Grace to tell us a bit more about her support system. Who do you feel you need to include into your support system?
I think balance is important in life, but when you're passionate about stuff, you just find yourself, you know, prioritizing and creating time. So it doesn't mean like on a day-to-day you do all of them at the same time. It just means at, you know, some weeks you'll probably do more of one than the other, but because there are things I'm passionate about, so I am able to apply myself to each and every one of them in a way that doesn't feel like work or doesn't feel like I'm doing a chore, you know. Also, what has helped me a lot is research and reading, doing background work, always improving yourself, because it means when an opportunity comes, it's like you're always ready. You're not left behind. When something new is happening in the fashion industry, you're up to date, you know what's going on. So you don't feel like you're falling behind or you're left behind. So keeping up with trends in whatever industry you're in helps a lot, because it keeps your mind and yourself updated and aware of what is happening. So planning and prioritizing, that has helped, so that you don't feel overwhelmed. So whatever is a priority, you handle that. Everything else can take a backseat for that moment. That allows me to be able to handle each and every one of them. I also write, by the way. Part of being an analyst in governance matters means I write, I'm on political shows, but it's because of, again, like I said, research, analysis, reading. There's a lot, people think it's easy, like you just know this stuff, but you have to read. You have to read and find out what's happening in fashion. What are the new, ideologies in like digital marketing? If you're not with it, it'll pass you by. How do we create new content? So you always have to keep abreast with what's happening, the new technologies, and that's how I'm able to manage to balance.
Mm-hmm. So thank you so much, Vivienne. Vivienne's secret is passion, prioritizing and planning and all those other good things. Grace, what are the key components of a support structure, especially like in your case?
In my case, apart from the spiritual realm, who happens to be God, always be your number one fan. Be your first supportive system, because the moment you crash down, the whole thing crashes. So you start with yourself. Then it trickles down to family. You need your family to support you, because at the end of the day, everybody will go back to their houses and settle. But whom do you go to when you feel down that my political career, maybe it's going down, I'm draining? At some point, I'll even feel distress, and I'll mentally break down, and you can't just go and break down to a voter. You'll be like, is this the same person you want to vote for who has mental instability? So family always care. After me, then family followed. Then you can have the people whom you trust, and those people who also believe in you happens to be your support system. And it's not only financially. We're also talking about mentally and physically. Do people take you to walks, to talk about politics, learn new ideas? So my support system came within myself and outside myself, and it came in different forms. But as I said, always be your first support system. Be your number one fan.
I like that. So it's key to always be your number one fan. Be the kind of person who looks at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, that I got this. This is it. I can take forward. I like that. I'll steal a copy from that book. So the next question is coming from Jambi. Jabi.
My name is Jambi Gaido. I'm a podcaster. My question goes to Vivienne and Grace. You had careers before joining politics, but now and you had morals and principles that guided you. But now politics is a dirty game. Have you ever been compelled to be unethical or to go against your principles and what you believe in?
For me, I've always been a principled person. I'm a strict person myself. And I'll say this, at some point you do go out of your way to do, you don't necessarily to do what you think is right, but sometimes you need to do what you think is necessary. Yes, we do walk out, but not really. Like, for me, I'll give you an example of what really happened, that emotions got out of hand. And I went to talk to the community, and I found a group of men. And they were like, I was like, hi, my name is Grace Kamau. I'm a human rights activist, and I am seeking an elective post as an MCA. And this is my my manifesto, and the man stood up and be like, siwezi chagua mwanamke, siwezi tawaliwa na mwanamke. And I was like, are you for real? Really? Unataka tu have conversation sahi? Unataka kuniambia? So, nikacha emotions get out of it. It was not intentional, but it just flipped. So, unapata saa zingine tunaforsiwango kwenda out of our way, not to be right, but it is necessary. And I also felt like if I did not talk back to this person like this, angeni attack. And I had to find a venye ningejidefend. If yu mdomo yangu nitani defend, wacha niamke nijidefend. So saa zingine wapataga principles zina, we don't really like break them, we bend them kidogo, but for us pia tupate a way ya kujitoa kwa ile shida tuko. Yeah, we do get out of, mtu asoi kuambia ati mwanasiasa tukange out of there, we do get out of our way when it is only necessary. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Grace. I think my takeaway is you, at the end of the day, you're a human being. If someone steps to you in a disrespectful manner, I do not think you fail being an integral or a virtuous person by standing up for yourself. Yeah. So I actually do commend you for standing up for yourself and what you believe in. As far as I'm concerned, that's a thumbs up for you. Madam?
So my take is, I think values make a man. When I say man, I mean it like human being. So if everything is stripped from me, I think what should remain are my values. And I told a lot of people in the community that I interacted with, I always would be, when I started this journey of getting, into elective politics, they'd tell me, why don't you do this? They'd suggest things which seem to work from a political perspective, but some of them were not aligned to my values. And they would tell me, you're too good. You're too good. You won't make it in this journey if you keep up like this. And I'd be like, it's not a matter of life and death for me. That's not to mean that I don't want to win. It's not to mean that I don't want to succeed. It's just to mean that I have some bare minimums, irreducible minimums. And if we are to cross that threshold, then I'd rather not. Why? Because I need to live with my conscience. At the end of the day, I'm still Vivienne. I'm still someone's daughter, someone's sister. And there are things I need to be able to live with, whether I succeed or I don't in politics. I have a business to run. I have integrity to uphold. Like, I have standards, and I cannot trade them for smaller things, in my view. At the end of the day, my soul needs to be intact. So for me, there are some values, like, integrity. There are just some things which I know. There are some lines I know I cannot cross. And when it comes to a crossroad where I have to choose between, am I going to get this MP ticket, or am I going to have to sleep with someone to get it, for example, then I would always say it's not, it's not necessary. Yeah. So I'd rather lose, but keep my values. For me, that's still a win. And that is what has helped me, keep sane throughout the entire political season. I think when you're in this space, you really have to be clear on what do you stand for. And if you get to a crossroad and you're just seeing, there it is, will you cross and say, F it, tuendele, or will you be like, no. So for me, I chose the unpopular route. And my team always used to be like, we need money for this, we need money for this. And it's true, you do need money. But you have to ask yourself, at what cost? At what cost?
I like that as at what cost? Are you able to go back home and look at yourself in the mirror? Are you happy with the person that you see? Are you selling your soul to the devil for something that, in all honesty, could have been benched for a later date? I think those are things that people at home and even the audience will be sitting and will be marinating as we decide or we choose who is going to come in next. So next we have Beatrice.
My name is Beatrice Wangeshi from Masinde Muliro University, and I'd like to direct my question to Grace. Up to now, women are still seen as weak people in the society compared as men. So I want to ask you to tell us, what should women do so that they can be seen as they are equal to men, and what should the government do to ensure that women are treated equally to men?
Oh, Beatrice, that's a good question. Beatrice, it's been like this. We live in a patriarchal system where even the spiritual realm, where even the Most High happens to be a he and not a she. That's another topic for another day. But here's the thing. women need to stand up for themselves. We went 1995 Beijing, right? Where we said human rights are women's rights and women's rights are human rights. And up to there, it has taken us a journey kufika mahali tumefika. Right now, we are even fighting to have the first female deputy president. And it has taken us a lot. We, women, we are the backbone. Ni sisi tunakuwa tumeshikilia hii inchi. And we have to stop listening to people be like, at women, we are weaklings. Oh no, we are not weaklings. You get me, Beatrice? We are not weaklings. If a woman can hold a whole household of 10 children and manage, give me a reason why I will not manage Kahawa Ward. You get me, right? So, and when the governments get involved, we've been speaking of two-third gender rule. Vivienne is here. We've been fighting for that space for a very long time. Na imefika mahali, tumeimba imekuwa norm. Hadi inafika IBC inaweka criteria that you have to reach the two-third gender rule. Now still we have parties that have not even gotten that target yet. So it's upon us, sisi wanawake, tuamke, tujitolee. It's not going to be easy. Sitakwambia itakuwa rahisi. But the moment you just stand up and if I, Grace Kamau, can stand up and say I'm going to run for elective post as a woman, why can you not do it? So we need to encourage each other every day. Yes, the struggle still continues, but still standing. And I'm so glad that I'm seeing Vivienne here. And if you look at this election, kuna kitu imekuwa mzuri na hii election. The young people are coming out, especially the women. Wando wanatokea, which means at least we are a step ahead. Maybe tutafikisha itu that gender rule leo ama kesho, but someday tutaifikisha. Maybe we won't have a female president leo ama kesho, but believe you me, someday women will run this nation. So it's a matter of time, it's a matter of patience, and it's a matter of continuing with the struggle.
We need to understand that in society, the concept of equality is a bit sketchy, but it's because men and women have different roles. For example, giving birth to a child, a man can't do it. Why? Because the anatomy of the woman is the one that's designed to carry a child to term and give birth, right? So it's just understanding that our rights are equal. Our rights to healthcare, our rights to education, our rights to income are equal. But our roles in terms of what we do in society are different. So once you accept that, you don't have to, push and pull or struggle with some things. It's easier, just because of how roles are. A woman can run a household maybe better than a man. Not to say a man can't, but that is the role, society has given, a woman. So you can be a mother, you can be a career woman, and still run your household. But it would be more difficult for a man to be able to, balance all that. So it's appreciating that men and women have different roles within the society, but their basic rights are equal, and that's entrenched in our constitution. So you cannot discriminate and say a woman cannot hold this job because of her gender. No. We have equal rights to opportunities, equal rights to, healthcare, education, and all those kind of things, voting, which, before maybe were not there. So I think that's where we are right now. And when you ask about what the government can do, I think we already have that. It's just in pushing. Yeah. Even population-wise, we're about 50-50. I think 51%, 49%. Yeah, 51, 49, so we're about 50-50. It's just now women realizing that they have equal rights. Your rights are not less because you're female. Yeah. It's equal to the, the male counterparts. But now stepping up and understanding that I have rights and exercising them.
Thank you so much. We'll move on to the final question by Raymond.
My name is Raymond Muthe from Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology. Quite privileged to be the only man on set. My question goes to Vivienne. Are the women of this country their own enemies? Because we've seen people like Martha Karua taking up political posts, vying for political posts, big political posts, but not getting elected. We have the women career women, like Kenya Association of Manufacturers, KEPSA, we have women there. But when it comes to politics, they sort of take the humble pie. They've come together in groups to form the Women for Azimio or something, but we sort of don't see them in the decision-making table in politics. Are women their own enemies?
That's a good question. Vivienne?
Absolutely not, is my response. Women are not their own enemies. And remember, in political contests, it gets very competitive. So you can't say men homogeneously support men. Even men disagree. There's Raila, there's Ruto. They are men, but they are on different camps. So why should it be different for women? It means even women are allowed to be on opposing camps. So you can have Waiguru and Ngirishi. They are both women, but opposing camps, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. The society shouldn't expect women to take homogeneous sides just because of your gender. Like, it doesn't automatically mean that if Martha Karua was running for president, then all the women of Kenya would support her. It doesn't work like that. Constitutionally, we even allowed the rights for political participation and support. So it allows you the right to choose your political affiliation, or if you don't want to be affiliated, you are allowed, you see? So it's not about your gender. We can choose whoever. You can decide to choose Ruto, you can decide to choose Baba, you can decide to choose Ngilu, you know, whoever it is who's up there running. But women are not their worst enemies. Personally, I've been supported by women to get where I am. There are women who've stood, you know, who've gone ahead of me and held my hand for me to reach where I am. But of course, there are also women who've been detractors. And I think it's the same for men. They have people who support them, and they have people who do not support them.
Thank you so much. So it seems like one of those stereotypes and the myths that we're trying to bust, because it's always constantly flung on our face that women are our own worst enemies. I happen to make very, very good social connections with women. So once we get out of that mindset that immediately alerts us to be against each other, this show is for women by women, and we constantly have women sitting here supporting us, encouraging us. So I believe that that is a stereotype that has completely outlived its purpose, whatever its purpose might have been. And right now we are coming together to help each other. I would like Emily to give us a final say or word in light of everything that we've discussed today before we wind up.
All right, thank you so much. I think it's quite inspiring to have women putting their hands up for political leadership, and kudos to you ladies. Keep going. I think it's important to keep the energy up. It's important to keep believing in ourselves. And it's not a lie that women make some of the best leaders. It is for sure very grounded, very balanced, and I think given opportunities, they would do great. What I would say is that just a self-belief and keep working at it. We lose sometimes because of our roles in society, our roles being mothers, our roles, you know, taking care of our siblings or whatever it is. But that doesn't mean that we have unequal rights. And I think Vivienne rightly put it so. Whenever that chance comes, it's okay if you lose some years, but we always catch up, and we can catch up. So when you feel that that time has come for you to take on a role, when it feels that that time has come for you to go into politics or to go and become a head of department or a director or a CEO, go for it. It's not about you being a woman. It's about, are you qualified? It's about, do you believe in yourself? Have you invested in yourself? And I think if you can answer those questions, and finally at the top of it, have your values and your value system very grounded, being able to make value-based decisions, then definitely you are really going to succeed. I think I could pose it there. Thank you.
Wow. I don't think there's any need for me to add anything else. So we've come to the end of today's episode. It's been a very interactive, informative, and insightful show. As always, we look forward to hearing from you, so you can reach out to us on our social media platforms, which is at Dada's KBC. Of course, on behalf of my production team at KBC, our sponsors, Journalists for Human Rights, and our location partners, the Boma Hotel, we want to thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week, same time, same place, only on the Dada's Show. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.